Update, brought to you by Simcox Advocates, advising businesses and families since 1949. Visit simcox.com or call 690 300. Manx Radio's Update with Andy Wint.
Pastor Mike, good evening. It's 5:30. This is Update for Thursday, 6th of July, 2023 from Manx Radio. 30 minutes to look at the latest news on the Isle of Man and background to that news and sport and business and Sea Watch and travel updates. And the newsmakers in person this evening. 23 petitions handed over yesterday at Tynwald Day. Does the government understand Manx Care's finances? The nursing union meets the ministers after a payoff has been refused. The Home Affairs Minister speaks on police pay. And the badminton squad heads to Guernsey in confident mood. And there's a yellow weather warning for coastal overtopping.
Man Benham for all your business and legal needs.
First of all, at 29 minutes ahead of 6 o'clock, the Update News headlines. Fast to my Christian Jones.
Fast to my COVID-19 jabs are back under the spotlight as a trio of Tynwald Day petitioners hope investigations will be carried out into what's sometimes referred to as vaccine injuries. Manx Care says there is an acknowledgement that some people have reacted badly, but says careful consideration is being given to what services may be available. The Treasury Minister insists the Isle of Man is on the right track in creating a more stable financial situation, despite economies around the world continuing to face rising costs. It comes after the former Treasury Minister David Ashford said the coming year will be crucial in deciding the island's direction of travel. And the island's nurses need to take strike action this month after voting in support of industrial action. Manx trade union legislation means the window for walkouts to take place is closing as members of the RCN continue a dispute over pay. In international news, an 8-year-old girl has died after a car crashed into a primary school in Wimbledon this morning. A woman in her 40s has been arrested on suspicion of causing death by dangerous driving. The UK Cabinet Office has lost its bid to withhold Boris Johnson's unredacted WhatsApp messages and notebooks from the COVID inquiry following a legal battle. The UK government says it will comply fully with the High Court ruling. And Britain's Jan Choński's out of Wimbledon after losing to former semi-finalist Hubert Hurkacz of Poland. Two-time champion Andy Murray headlines the action on centre court later with his second round match against 5th seed Stefanos Tsitsipas. Those are the Update News headlines. Next at 6.
Man Benham. Contact us by phone, video call, email or face-to-face. We're happy to connect with you. Manx Radio Weather with Manx Glass and Glazing.
Goramaya, thank you, Christian. From the Ronalds Way Met Office, there is a strong wind warning in operation for the North Irish Sea. State of sea is moderate, later rough, and strong southerly winds affecting the island during the next high tide, which is about 10 to 3 tomorrow morning, with a risk of overtopping of waves and a risk of debris in Shore Road, Russian, Castletown Prom, northern and central parts of Douglas Prom, Laxey Prom and Ramsey Prom. The weather, a wet evening, strong southerly near gale force through the night, low temperature 15 degrees. And for Chehenya, a cloudy start, then patchy drizzle, sunny spells tomorrow afternoon, strong southerly winds, decreasing through the day, top temperature 20 Celsius. Overnight minimum 15. Into Saturday, sunshine, occasional showers on a fresh to strong south or southeasterly, decreasing later as the skies clear. Daylight maximum 21. Low tides at 10 to 9 tonight. Sunset 8 minutes to 10. That high tide is at 12 minutes before 3 a.m. Sunrise 5 to 5. And the low water tomorrow morning is at 9:15.
Visit the Manx Glass and Glazing website and see a range of products from windows to doors, mirrors to splashbacks. manxglass.com.
A total of 23 petitions were handed over at Tynwald Day yesterday. Lewis Foster was in St John's overseeing the proceedings.
Amongst those were petitions brought by 3 individuals focusing on injuries they believe to be caused by COVID-19 vaccines. Nicola Brindley, Natalie Birchall and Steve Watton were applauded by certain members of the crowd as their petitions were handed over. Meanwhile, Martin Perkins, who you may remember as Garth MHK before 2021, was there to present a petition concerning nuclear power and calling for small modular reactors actors to be considered for the island. Charles Gard, local historian, was back with another petition this year, this time concerning the will of Tynwald and calling for directions from members of that court not to be usurped by ministers reallocating funds.
They don't have to reference Tynwald, they don't have to tell anyone, and it's only years later that the members of Tynwald realise that what they thought they voted for hasn't happened.
This issue was brought to his attention by the fact that Douglas Bay horse trams are still yet to be extended back to the sea terminal. That was also the catalyst behind Sarah Goodwin's petition. Manx Care was the topic of choice for Simon Mann, who's highlighting funding gaps faced by the health body, and Peel resident Nigel Sparring wants the length of time dog walkers are allowed on Peel Beach to be extended. The petition from Richard Holmes called for a select committee to examine the operations of the Police Complaints Commissioner. Mark Cleater had two petitions, one concerning what he believes to be a lack of Manx lawmakers and another regarding protection from what he calls vexatious litigation. On educational matters, David Watts is arguing for a select committee to put in place a framework which would see pupils' results better compared internationally. Dr Andrew Martin's petition called for a select committee to be formed to look at reducing the powers of the Chief Minister. And Graham Jones was there to hand in a petition on behalf of someone else to call for better protection of whistleblowers. And finally, Trevor Cowan submitted 9 petitions in total this year on topics ranging from grievances with the Information Commissioner and another brought back from recent years regarding the demolition of Glenfaber House.
Hard decisions must be made around the provision of healthcare services, but the right people are in place to deliver the changes, so says the interim chair of Manx Care, Sarah Pinch. She says the Health and Social Care Minister and Comyn, the Council of Ministers, understand the financial pressures faced by Manx Care and are committed to achieving positive change.
I think that, if you ask any public sector organisation, there's never enough money. But I think we have a board of non-execs and executive directors who are very focused on reality. We know that there is not an unlimited amount of money. We are working very closely. In fact, I've just come from a 2-hour meeting with the Department of Health and Social Care where the Minister is incredibly understanding of our position and we are incredibly understanding of his. So I think we have to work together. We must bring about those changes that will improve quality. As I said, the telemedicine thing, the opportunity to have very clear pathways for heart attacks, for example, that will save money long term because someone's treated very quickly. And I think there is an understanding from Treasury and from the Department of Health and Social Care and indeed from the Council of Ministers, who we were pleased to meet with earlier in the year, of what we need to do. It's not going to be easy and we're going to have to make hard decisions. But I am more convinced after the board-to-board today, the meeting with the department and our board meeting, that we have the right people around the table to make that decision. And with our engagement with colleagues who deliver services, whether that's in the hospital, in the community or in social care, they've got lots of ideas too. So together I think we can achieve this.
Update brought to you by Simcox Advocates.
Work's continuing to tackle the significant issue of police officers' pay on the Isle of Man. The Justice and Home Affairs Ministers told Manx Radio she's hoping to provide an update to Tynwald this month. Story from Tessa Hawley.
Jane Paul Wilson will take the Chief Constable's annual report for 2022 and 2023 to the court. It's the last penned by Gary Roberts, who retired at the end of March. His report included a letter sent to the Minister in February where he shared his concerns that his successor, Russ Foster, would be left on a burning platform if nothing was done. "We are on the verge of a crisis," he wrote. "Officers are angry and angrier than I have ever seen them before because of pay and not because of what they do." Recent changes to the pay of teachers by the Department of Education, Sport and Culture to lift their salary to £10,000 more than that of a police constable, he added, had angered his staff. In the letter, Mr Roberts said whilst he understood the pressures faced by government, the situation had actually deteriorated since the decision was taken to establish a working party to look into it. Officers, he said, were facing what amounted to a 20% reduction in pay over the last decade and were unable to take industrial action, lobby politicians or make public comment on policy. Mr Roberts told the Minister that without a swift and considered response to rising cost pressures, officers would increasingly rapidly leave the service. Minister Paul Wilson, in response, told Banks Radio, "Both I and the Council of Ministers take this matter very seriously." Following on from the Chief Constable's letter, the department worked closely with the Police Federation and senior police officers to consider how best to address this significant issue. "I hope to be able to provide an update to Tynwald," she says, "when I move the Chief Constable's annual report at the July sitting."
The man at the forefront of the Isle of Man's badminton team heading to the 2023 Island Games believes his squad is more than capable of challenging for success this year. Team manager and player Neil Harding explains preparations have been going well and that they've been getting coaching from one of Britain's best recently to get them ready.
We've just had a training camp in Nottingham with Chris Adcock, who's an ex-Olympian, double Commonwealth gold medalist. Yeah, we had a good week. Good to get all the team together and everyone's raring to go now. Not only does it get the players together, builds a bit of camaraderie, it gives us time to practice with our partnerships, our pairings, which we don't normally get to do. I mean, we meet up twice, 3 times a year to play in county matches and UK tournaments, but yeah, we had a good few hours training, which is really beneficial for the tournament. I think it'll be my 9th time. Same with Kim Clegg. We started together in, I think it was 2005 Shetland. It's just a great tournament and we've made some good friends along the way. Yeah, really good tournament, lots of games, lots of badminton. It's really enjoyable. Obviously players come and go, but a lot of teams, I started in 2005 and there's still some other players competing that were there in 2005, so it's nice to just catch up with everybody, made some good friends along the way. First and foremost, we never won a team medal last time round, which was a big loss for us because we've won a team medal for the last few Ireland Games, so first and foremost we need to be focused on winning a team medal again, but I think we've got a very strong team this year and I think we've got more than capable of winning the team medal. After that we'll then look at the individual events, which as I said, we've got a strong team and we're hoping to win multiple medals in the individual events this time.
Sea Watch with the Isle of Man Steam Packet Company.
Mothership Ben McCree left Heysham at 12 minutes past 2. She'll be into the bay in the next 10 minutes or so, then on the link span, departing this evening at 7:45, arriving in Heysham at 11:30. Overnight departure 2:15, back to Douglas at 6 tomorrow morning. High-speed craft Manannan left Douglas at 9 minutes to 3. She'll be in Liverpool now on the link span by the pierhead very shortly, departing at 7:15, back to Douglas at 10 tonight. Tomorrow morning's departures, 7:15, Manannan heads to Liverpool, 8:45, Ben McCree to Heysham.
Like the Steam Packet on Facebook for the latest sailing information.
The medals of a squadron leader who flew over 500 hours delivering aid at the end of World War II have come back to the Isle of Man. Born in Ramsey, Kenneth Hughes AFC lived in Canada with his wife. His medals were presented to King William's College's Major Bruce Kirkham and Tynwald President Lawrence Skelly by a Canadian delegation today.
It's been a very memorable and moving occasion to receive from the Canadian delegation a set of service medals from a former student at King William's College, squadron leader Kenneth Hughes, who went on from leaving the Isle of Man to have a very distinguished career in the Royal Air Force, the Royal Canadian Air Force, and was also seconded as a training pilot to many international countries. So he was a very proud Manxman, went on to become a very proud Canadian, and so today, we forged links between Canada and the Isle of Man. We'll always honour his memory and revere his many achievements in life. As his widow Evelyn said, his medals have come home to the Isle of Man, and they'll be there on display for many years to come. So an incredibly important and significant day for us all.
We often say this: the Manx are everywhere. We might be a nation of 85,000 people, but hundreds of years ago we had Manx economic migrants who, after the mining and it stopped, they left and went to America, Australia, all over the world. And it has been said that there is up to 1 million Manx in North America. And I lived there myself, part of the North American Manx Association. Foundation, which is also a big major ambassadors, promoting the Isle of Man. And this week is quite telling too, because we have the Cultural Awards for North American Manx, which are actually being presented tomorrow to our young people who still value and treasure their culture and their heritage.
Manx Radio Business Briefing.
At 5:45, the electrical retailer Currys pulled its final dividend, citing an uncertain outlook as annual profits fell due to its poorly performing Nordics division. Currys said trading at the start of the year was being consistent with the board's expectations. Nonetheless, the economic outlook remains uncertain in their main markets. And for a full daily market report, go to ramseycrookall.com. The TV shopping channel Ideal World suspended broadcasting and will make the majority of its staff redundant after hiring insolvency experts administrators for the Peterborough-based Ideal World said trading wasn't strong enough for the business to continue after a slump in viewers. The company employs about 275 people at its head office. Administrators Kroll Advisory UK said it would fulfill existing customer orders where possible, but added trading operations have been suspended prior to the administration and won't restart. The administrators said over the last few years the direct response TV sector globally has suffered a decline in viewer and customer numbers as consumer habits change. Read between the lines, the internet is taking over.
The Stock Market Report, brought to you by Ramsey Crookall.
UK and European stock markets fell sharply. The dollar turned lower, oil was down slightly, and gold gained. The numbers from Ramsey Crookall at the close in London. The FTSE 100 down just over 2% at 7,280. The DAX in Frankfurt down over 2.5% at the close at 15,528. A short time ago in New York City, the Dow Jones Industrial down 1.33% at 33,821. The tech stocks index, the Nasdaq is down 1.4% at 13,599. It's all down in the Midwest as well. S&P 500 is down 1.25% at 4,392. In the exchange markets, the British pound sterling trading at $1 27 cents, €1 16.9 cents, and 24 South African rand 27.7 cents. In commodities, gold's down 0.25% at $1,909 per troy ounce, and a barrel of Brent crude down almost a percentage point at $75.67.
You've got an investment plan?
Yeah, Mike set it up.
But don't you need loads of money to do that?
Not this one. It's called Shearwater from Ramsey Crookall, and you pay in monthly as little as £100. So it's like saving regularly, really helping us invest in the future for a house or the kids' education.
£100 a month? I could easily do that.
You should. The sooner you start, the better.
Invest in your future with as little as £100 a month. Shearwater from Ramsey Crookall, the island's investment specialist for 75 years. Call 717171 or visit ramseycrookall.com. Licensed and regulated by the Isle of Man Financial Services Authority.
Members of the Royal College of Nursing, the Nursing Union, have had the opportunity to quiz the Health Minister, Laurie Hooper, MHK, and the Treasury Minister, Dr. Allinson, at a meeting at Keeldarry. Topics covered included the ongoing health transformation initiatives and long-term funding for health and social care. The meeting was Union Regional Communications Manager Danielle Skivens.
Goodwill is losing out at the moment because members are tired. They're working longer shifts because there are not enough staff coming over to the island to work in the health and care sector. So I can see the dilemma that there needs to be an investment in the future workforce, but the government needs to make sure, along with Manx Care, that they're not forgetting the existing workforce. Manx Care need to utilise their budget that they're allocated by the government to try and do their best, not only to make sure services are running safely, but also that the existing workforce are rewarded for everything they've experienced over the last few years. Because as much as people want to think COVID is over, it is still out there, maybe not the number of cases, but the backlog of regular cases that need to be treated, who are on waiting lists and stuff, and members are doing their very, very best to help support them. And also it's the primary care sector as well. That's really under pressure at the moment. So obviously, if people can't get an appointment with their GP, if they can't be treated in the community, they will then show up at the hospital, and often they will be very seriously ill at that stage. So it's really difficult for our members and everyone working in the health and care sector at the moment, because we have a combination of seriously ill patients, not enough staff, and that is not a safe or good option for anyone at the moment. Due to trade union legislation and laws on the island, any strike action would need to take place by the 25th of July.
Update brought to you by Simcox Advocates, advising businesses and families since 1949. Visit simcox.com or call 690 300. Manx Radio Sport.
Faster my Rhiann Evans.
Faster my good afternoon. Nathan Harrison has confirmed he will not be racing in this year's Southern 100. The Uncan man missed this year's TT following a crash at the Northwest 200, which left him with a broken collarbone and a hairline fracture to his left arm. In a post on Instagram, the two-time MGP winner said he feels really good and has surprised himself with his physical fitness and pace, considering he only had surgery 6 weeks ago. However, he went on to say, unfortunately, he's made the wise decision of pulling out of the Southern 100 races, as he doesn't feel it's right going to the roads for his first race back. He added he will continue doing lots of track days and BSB in readiness for this year's Manx Grand Prix. If you're keen to follow the action at this year's Island Games but can't make it to Guernsey, don't worry, there is an alternative. The Guernsey Games are going to be streamed live for the very first time, so you'll be able to watch various sports via the Guernsey 2023 YouTube channel. A link to this can be found at manxradio.com, along with a link to Guernsey's official website and also a link for the schedule and results page during the competition. The games get underway this weekend on the 8th of July and finish on the 14th of July. And in football, Oncan AFC ladies are looking for a new manager for the upcoming 2023-24 season. The club is looking for someone with a passion for football who is either wanting to get into coaching or is already an experienced coach. If you are interested and you don't have previous experience, all coaching courses will be paid for by the club. More information on this can be found at manxradio.com in the Sports Hub.
Manx Radio Travel, driven by Quayside Tyres and Service Centre.
Everything's okay inbound at Ronald's Way, apart from, you guessed it, the EasyJet Gatwick. Inbound next is the 7:55 Loganair from Liverpool. The 8:05 EasyJet from Manchester's on time. The 8:30 Loganair from London City on time. But the 8:35 EasyJet from Gatwick won't be in until just before 9 o'clock. Fingers crossed. Outbound, 6 o'clock, Loganair to Liverpool, the patient transfer plane. Then it's the 8:35 EasyJet to Manchester. And the 9:05 EasyJet to Gatwick is delayed till at least 9:30 tonight. Temporary lights on Eskdale Road, Oncan. They're working on the pavements. Gravel Road's closed between Harbour Road and Fairway Close for gas upgrade work in Oncan. Loudest Road, Andrews, closed for resurfacing between the main road through the village and Larravane Meadow. In Foxdale, Garth Road's closed between Tosselby Road and the Foxdale Road. They're replacing a bridge there. East Quay Peel's closed between the House of Manannan and the Road Bridge, and the Peel to Kirkmichael Coast Road's got phased closures. In Ramsey, there are 24-hour lights on Cumberland Road for resurfacing. Laxey's Ballacollister Road's closed between Crotty Quill Road and Rensall Hill for resurfacing. The Ballamenic Road in Jerby's closed for water main replacement, well, phase closures anyway. In Douglas, temporary lights on Ballacomine Road for resurfacing, and the Tremode Road in Douglas closed for excavation work. In Baldrine, Packhorse Lane is closed for resurfacing.
H&H Motorcycles.im for all your motorcycle requirements. Southgate Industrial Estate, opposite Quayside Tyres. Call 665646.
The complex workings of Manx Care and the island's emergency services have been on show at an open day. The event was at Vaggers, the Vagabonds Rugby Club, providing members of the public, that's you, with a unique opportunity to learn about the range of services offered and question senior management of the health organisation about all aspects of its day-to-day operation. Chief Exec of Manx Care, Teresa Cope.
Sometimes just being able to come down here, speak to the various professionals and services that are displayed here is that opportunity to really, have a look at what we do, and I say the wide range of professional groups that exist within Manx Care.
Now we see lots of happy smiling faces here, and it's great that the interface with the public is that way, but you have to deal with what is a real morale issue within the organisation. Just how challenging is that?
I think it's a challenge across all of health and care, not just on the island, but across in the UK and internationally. The health and care sector took a real hit during COVID, and in some areas we are still recovering from that. Manx Care inherited a 20% vacancy factor, so 1 in 5 of our roles that we should have are vacant, and that is a real challenge. But what you'll hear this evening when we present is we have made some real progress around international recruitment and responding to that vacancy gap. It is about being honest about our challenges, but being really positive about the things that we have achieved. The partnership working with our staff side organisations is particularly positive. We've been able to do a lot of really positive joint work together. And I think Manx Care is unique as an integrated health and care organisation in that we can allow people the flexibility of moving around to different roles in the organisation. We can offer them breadth, even if we are not highly specialised in some areas.
In his final annual report, outgoing Chief Constable Gary Roberts says crime in the Isle of Man rose by 7% in the year under review. Despite the increase and the fact that the severity of crimes committed over the past 3 years has increased steadily, the Isle of Man remains the safest place in the British Isles, with a crime severity rate 60% lower than the best performing areas in England and Wales. Simon Richardson's been looking at the report.
Whilst describing 2022-23 as an average year in many ways, the Chief Constable highlighted some interesting statistics, not least the seizure of drugs worth over £2 million. This compared with £650,000 the previous year. Cannabis seizures were up over 400%. Gary Roberts explains that assessing the performance of the police is complex, and the days are long gone when the best indicator was the level of recorded crime. The investigation of crime is, he says, only part of what the police do, and the constabulary spends as much time dealing with issues caused by poor mental health, complex vulnerability, or on other safeguarding work as they do on crime. That said, he accepts that for many people the overall level of crime is important, as it gives a basic indicator of the safety of the place. In statistical terms, there were highs and lows. Fraud offences rose by 16% and mental health incidents were up 14%. On the positive side, domestic incidents, sexual offences, drug offences and offences involving offensive weapons were all down.
That's it for Update Tonight, compiled from the resources of Manx Radio's news department. Thanks to newsreader Christian Jones, producer Rhiann Evans. After the news at 6, we're looking at the Manx Sky at Night, then the greatest hits with Chris Kinley. Stick around tomorrow on Update. Barry Redfern's here.
WINT